I'm Keely Eure here with Shotgun Spratling for your big game preview, Sweet 16 edition. USC is set to take on conference foe Oregon on Sunday, 6:45 on TBS. Shotgun, you and I were there for USC's 72-58 win over Oregon, but this seems like a different Ducks team since that game happened. How have the Ducks evolved since that game?
I mean, they've been playing really good basketball since the beginning of February. It all started with getting Will Richardson back. He had a thumb injury, had surgery, get him back to point guard. And then he's really taken his game to another level the last, couple of weeks, actually. He scored it in double figures. I believe it's 5 of the last 6 games. The one time he didn't was against Oregon State, the only other game they've lost since the beginning of February, besides the game to USC. So he's a key, important piece for them. He's been shooting the three really well for them. They've been going with a smaller lineup since December, basically, because Infante Dali got injured, their big center. So they've gone with a smaller lineup. Eugene Omorui's, a mismatch for a lot of teams because – at 6'6", 6'7", he's playing the 5 position, and most big men can't guard him out on the wings and stuff. Well, USC can probably do that, so that's why it's a little bit different matchup for the Ducks against USC. But they've been playing excellent basketball. They've been really forcing the tempo, pressuring teams, and getting turnovers, and then being able to play up tempo and get some stuff in transition. And that's what they did against Iowa. Iowa was able to get the ball inside and take advantage of their height advantage there with Luka Garza, and he scored 30-something points. However, the rest of the team couldn't do anything, and Oregon, they couldn't stop Oregon at all. Oregon's offense just rolled. They scored 56 points in the first half, so they are playing really good basketball right now. They're shooting the ball really well, so they're a dangerous team. Just because USC beat them previously doesn't mean that this is going to be a walkover by any means.
Now, some things have also changed for the Trojans since the last time they faced the Ducks. Taj Edey, we noted at the time, almost outscored Oregon at the half. He hasn't been shooting as well since that game. But then on the other hand, you have Isaiah Mobley. He didn't actually play against Oregon, but he's been on fire so far this postseason for the Trojans. How do you think those factors would play in on Sunday?
Yeah, it's a different dynamic for this USC team from where they were during that. They beat up on Oregon in that game, but that was during the stretch where USC lost 3 or 4 games. That was the only win during that week and a half period there. So Taj Edey was on fire in the first half. He had 21 points. Oregon scored 22. USC's defense, because they were making some shots, their defense had a chance to get back set up, kept Oregon from getting those transition buckets, getting the opportunity to get out in the open court. So that was really big for them in that game. Oregon was able to come back a little bit in the second half, and that's why they forced a little bit more turnovers. And USC wasn't making as many shots. They shot really well from 3-point range in the first half. So that's going to be one of the things you got to watch in this game. Can USC make some shots to be able to give themselves an opportunity to set their defense up? And Taj Edey is a big part of that. Now, Isaiah Mobley's kind of stepped up for it because Taj Edey hasn't shot great recently. He had 24 in that game against Oregon. A couple games later against Stanford, he had a big half and he shot really well and had 16 points. He's been around the 9 to 13-point range every game since then, and it hasn't been on the best percentage. He isn't playing bad. He just isn't playing at the same level he was that one little stretch where he was just on fire all the time. If they get that from him, it makes them that much more dangerous. Now, they've had other guys step up, though. That's been the big key. Isaiah White hits 3 threes the last game. Isaiah Mobley hits a career-high 4 threes. And he's made 9 of 11 now in the postseason. So he's stepping up and playing huge for them. And when he plays really well, USC just becomes that much more of a mismatch because now you have a guy who can step out and, big men can't come out and guard him, and Evan Mobley is the same way. So how are you going to try to defend USC when both of those guys can step out and extend the defense and then create for their teammates as well?
Another advantage for USC is its height. We talked about it all season long. How do you see that playing out on Sunday, specifically matching up with Oregon?
Yeah, one of the tallest teams in the nation, and Eugene Omoruyi is the tallest player that Oregon's going to play primarily, and he's 6'6". So, he's playing the 5, he's 6'6", 6'7", somewhere in there. They will have a couple of taller guys come off the bench. They don't play them that much. Frank Kimpong came in and played, I think, 16 minutes in the first game. They just try to get some more height on the court. But they played primarily a small lineup since Infante Dali went down. So they've been trying to be the mismatch against teams, and they've been able to have success with that because – other teams' bigs, a guy like Luka Garza can't go out and guard Omoruyi on the wing. It's just too difficult for them to do. Well, Isaiah Mobley and Evan Mobley can. So if USC can defend on the other end, they can really, if they can take care of the basketball, they'll be able to take advantage of their height down low. They should be able to get the ball inside the Mobleys, and they'll be able to shoot over defenders whenever they want. So, they got to be able to take care of the basketball and get the ball down the court first. But then if they can, they should be able to take advantage of their height probably more than any other matchup they've had in the last couple of weeks.
Alrighty, Shotgun, I know you've identified at least two specific key for the Trojans. What are they?
Yeah, that's the key one right there, is to take care of the basketball. What Oregon's going to do, they're going to come out. They're probably going to come out in their full court press a lot of the game. Now, when they played USC the first time, it was in the midst of 7 games in 14 days. So they weren't able to go full board the whole time. They weren't able to, full court pressure the entire game because they knew they had other games, lined up throughout the next couple of weeks. So I think that they will be able to go and extend much more frequently and with much more intensity this game. Can USC take advantage? Can they take care of the basketball and then take advantage of it after they break the press? That's going to be the key. If they don't take care of the basketball, that's when Oregon becomes that much more dangerous, because they get a steal at half court. Suddenly you get an open 3-pointer, where USC's defense has been phenomenal guarding against the three, especially the last 2 games in the tournament. They've been phenomenal because they've been able to set their defense up. And a lot of that comes with making some shots on the other end. So that's actually the second key. Can USC continue to make shots like they did? They don't have to shoot at the same clip that they did against Kansas. They have the best percentage all season. But if they can make some shots and have some consistency there, then now they can get that defense back and they can set up, and Oregon can't get those open looks. That's the difference. USC's height will play a much bigger role on the defensive end if their defense is back and set, versus if they're chasing in transition and then trying to run out to the wing. That's where Oregon could be very dangerous against USC if they can get out and make this a quicker game. So it's up to Taj Edey, it's up to Drew Peterson, and it's up to Ethan Anderson. Now, Ethan Anderson was really key in the first matchup. He ended up finishing the game plus 21, the team best. He had 8 assists and only 1 turnover. So it's going to take someone, those 3 guys had to take care of the basketball. But if Ethan Anderson can come in and have a similar impact off the bench, I think that would be huge for USC. So the 2 big keys are taking care of the basketball and knocking down some shots. And if they do that, that's when their height will be able to take it, will be able to play to its full potential, and have the biggest impact. Versus if they're in transition, then your height's not really, a factor anymore, and you can't set up that defense. Same thing. So I think that USC, if they take care of those 2 things, they've got a great opportunity to advance to the Elite 8.
You alluded to how rigorous the Pac-12 regular season schedule is. I was just curious, what is it like for both of these teams now that they have several days to prepare for this matchup?
Well, it's a little bit different just as far as, the rest time. And like I said, I think Oregon can do a little bit more that they would like to do as far as their full court pressure. USC, I'm sure they're working on, some swipe drills and some different things, because Oregon, one of the things they do on defense, because they try to create those turnovers, is they are very active at attacking the basketball. When you drive against them, they're not bringing over a help defender to just slide in and maybe take a charge. They're bringing over someone to slap at the ball, try to create that turnover, create that steal, and then get out in the open court. So they do things a little bit differently that way. So I'm sure USC's been working on some drills to really hone in on that, to really take care of the basketball. So they're going to be using this time for that. In Oregon on the other side, I think they're going to be working on their rotations and how they can try to defend against the bigger guys. But these are kind of the same teams. And for USC, it's basically the same Oregon team they've seen for, the last 5 or 6 years, as just far as it's a different, different personnel, but it's very similar. They don't have the same shot blocker down low on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, they're doing the same thing. They're dribbling. They want to create for each other. They want to create those turnovers and get out in transition and get some open threes and then knock down some shots. They don't have a true big man that they've ever gone into. All their stars that you think back to are guys that are on the wing and creating for each other that way. So, they have a defender usually. Chris Boucher is the first guy that comes to mind, Jordan Brown as well. But on the offensive end, it's all about the guys on the wing. So it's a very similar team in that regard. So I think USC knows how to defend it. Now, can they defend it? That'll be the question. And I think it starts with taking care of the basketball.
Alrighty, Shotgun, it's time for your prediction. How do you think this one's going to go on Sunday?
I think that USC, the way they played the last 2 games, that if they take care of the basketball, they will win. Will they take care of the basketball? I think they will against Kansas. Now, Kansas tried to do they weren't using a full court pressure, but they have two really good perimeter defenders, and they really tried to, push out on the guards after that initial run where USC took the lead early. They tried to bring some extra pressure around half court, and USC handled it really well. So I think that they can take care of the basketball and they'll be able to get a victory in this one because that advantage down low, with the Mobley brothers, they should be able to dominate in this game.
Now, I know you, and I know you weren't going to predict a win Oregon USC in the Pac-12 tournament. What changed this time around?
I just think the way that USC is playing defensively, they are playing out of their mind right now compared to where they were previously. We'd seen stretches, at the beginning of that Oregon game the first time. They held Oregon without a field goal for the first 8 minutes. The rest of the game, though, was pretty even. We've seen that type of defensive intensity for basically almost 75 minutes, I would say. Even against Drake made some shots early, but USC's defense, there were tough shots that they were making. USC's defense has been on another level, and that's why I feel a little bit more confident in them. And I think the intensity and kind of it creates focus, and I've seen that from this team. They always say pressure, either breaks pipe or creates diamonds, and I think that the USC, they've been much more focused and intent with their actions in the first two games that we've seen. Obviously, more pressure in the Sweet 16, familiar opponent, a little bit different there. And, when the lights come on, some guys can get a little wide-eyed, but I think USC, the way that they've played the first couple of weeks, I think they're playing with a lot of confidence right now. You've seen that from several different players. And, I feel confident that they can continue that.
Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up for your big game preview. Be sure to check out the game Sunday at 6:45 on TBS. For Shotgun Spratling, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.